Thomas Borchgrevink was standing in the car park outside the old Fredheim school in Lørenskog, wishing the wind would pick up. He had no idea why she had chosen this particular spot for them to meet, but he had a hunch. To make it as difficult for him as possible. Was that why? It was, wasn't it? The 36-year-old man glanced at his watch as a murder of crows took off from a nearby tree. The loud guttural sounds echoed across the emptiness, because out here there was nothing but fields, a gravel pit, and this white school building where he had once been a pupil. In another life. Before the incident. He hadn't been to this part of the world for over a decade. In fact, he had not been anywhere at all. 18 years inside. He had been released some months ago and was still struggling to adjust to the feeling. The feeling of being able to do what he wanted. Thomas Borchgrevink pulled his jacket around him, sat down on the steps leading to the old school, and turned his face to a pale sun which was peeking out from behind a cluster of trees. It was 9:15. They had agreed 9 o'clock, but he was taking no chances. She was capable of anything. What did I tell you? We said 9, and he didn't even bother to show up. Do you still think that he has a right to see his son? The last time they saw each other, the boy was only 2 years old, for God's sake. There was a sudden rustling in the treetops at the end of the road, and he felt a small surge of optimism. Perhaps the wind would come after all. The kite had been a stupid idea, of course. He had racked his brains, trying to think of some activity they could do out here. He had lingered in the toy shop for so long that the assistant had finally come up to ask him if everything was all right. All right? Of course things were not all right. Why would she think they were? But none of this was her fault, and he knew it, so he had just picked the first thing that had caught his eye. A kite. Outdoors. Near his old school. They could fly a kite together. That was a good idea, wasn't it? He regretted it now, obviously, as the wind eased off in the treetops. A chessboard, that was what he had had in mind. Teach the boy the rules, perhaps have a game. But he had dropped the idea when he was told that their meeting would take place outdoors, with a chaperone. That under no circumstances would she let him be alone with a boy. Her attitude had been completely different when she had first come to visit him. He hadn't even remembered her name. Borchgrevink, you have a visitor. His first in 3 years. It's a woman, table number 2. A visitor? A female visitor? His mum? No, of course not. She had dressed up as if it was a special occasion, with flowers in her hair, rouged cheeks and a short summer dress. Siv Jonsson. They had been in 6th form together. The few months he had managed before he had finally given in to the voices in his head. And he had to admire her persistence. Every 2 weeks for almost 3 years, and in time he had almost grown to like her. Pictures from the labour ward. From their son's first birthday. Martin misses his daddy. But then, no more. Another man, he had realised eventually. Not that he minded about her, but about the child, the finest boy in the world. His son, Martin. No way. Thomas Borchgrevink got up from the steps and started to pace up and down to shake off his anger. Easy now. Don't get mad. Even though she had suddenly stopped coming and several letters had arrived instead, typed sheets of paper from faceless lawyers telling him he would no longer be allowed to see the little one. He kicked a small stone across the playground and checked his watch again. 9:15. Not a soul in sight. There was practically nothing on Losbyveien, the road that led up here from Finstad. Hardly any people lived this far out. There was a shooting range near the bend in the road. A gravel pit behind the trees further up. He knew every stone. He had loved this school, this area, coming early every morning rather than be at home in the dark house with the cold people who were supposed to have taken care of him.